All right, so Sydney's hair is washed, and what I'm doing is I'm just brushing this out to get some of the tangles out. There aren't really many tangles, but I'm gonna do kind of like a half step-by-step here because I really wanna have a lot of fun with this, and I wanna help you guys understand what I'm doing kind of now, and then I'll kind of go back in and break it down afterwards. So just to kind of start the step-by-step is what I'm doing is I'm creating my sections, and I'm creating a division point, which I do on all my haircuts, and that's basically separating the front and the back. With anything, you always want to separate the front from the back so you know and you have a clear vision of where you're going and what you're doing. So here's the one side right here, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Usually it's like right behind the ear area because it's really just almost kind of obvious where the hair wants to separate. So once you do that, I like to push that out of the way. And now I have a clear vision of what I want to do. So I'm going to part this kind of right down the middle. And she has really, really thick hair. Very thick hair. Kind of like mine, super thick. No. So what I'm doing is I'm just separating the part down the middle. This is really kind of pretty standard. And even though it seems somewhat basic, you still want to take everything you do seriously. So I'm coming in on kind of like a triangular or diagonal parting like this. And this is where my first section is going to be. So I'm going to start cutting soon, and then we're going to kind of speed things up. And my first section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to visualize where it is I'm going to be cutting. So remember, you know, if we go up here, it's way too high. If we only do it here, it's going to be too long. So we have to kind of come to a good balance, and that's where we look at the side to say, okay, well, if her length is here, you know, right now it's not, there's only a little bit of an angle coming through the hair. So I'd say we have to come somewhere around here, which is like right in the middle, enough to kind of give a good enough angle here and that it's going to be visible. So let's take a section right down the middle here, and this is where I'm going to start this whole thing. So I'd say there again is a good start because what's going to happen is it'll work into that length. So I think this is good. Again, it has to be cut shorter in order to even see it. So we're going to cut this straight across, just like this. We're going to take the other section here, and again, this is the corner. So the corner, what I'm doing, and I do this all the time, is I keep it right within this box here. I don't round it out because I want to keep the length. And the best way to do that is to overextend and keep it in that one area, that one section right through here. Then I can comb it down like this. This is why I'm using a black cape so you can kind of see everything. Then you go back in and just tweak out the ends if needed. Next section, we're going to comb everything down and we're going to cut it pretty much to this one point right here. Keeping it very simple, nothing too complicated, but what you want to do is you want to set yourself up for when you go into the angle, because that's key. You always want to leave it heavier and a little bit kind of square right into the back. And again, I'm not using any clips because I don't feel there's a need for clips because you can get through this a lot quicker. Just comb it out of the way and you've got a neat section right there. Next section right here. And I'm following a simple pattern. It's really about keeping it simple and being very kind of graceful about it. So let's continue to do the entire back, and then when we're done with the back, we'll take a look and then we'll talk about how we're going to do the length in through the sides. So Sydney's hair in the back is complete now, and as you can see, we've got a really, really nice sharp line here, which I'm going to go back in and texturize towards the end of it, just to break up the ends a little bit so it's a little more softer on the ends. But now is where we're going to connect this in through the front. And what we're going to do is, as you can see, it's kind of natural kind of, and we can actually just do this right here by hand and visually, because you can see, because we left the corner right there, look, we're just going to go in and follow and connect. It's like we're drawing. Now look, we've got a perfect angle coming this way. Doesn't get any more simple than that. But now what I want to do is comb this all straight down now and just clean up those ends, because I want to just also connect this a little bit better because it wasn't really blended as good as it could be. So now I'm just going to really cut this to make it really, really stand out, which I think looks a lot better now. So let's just shake this like this and look at that. And it's got a beautiful angle now, which really how it should be. Whereas before, it was just like down here and not much of an angle. And then this was a little bit kind of chopped right into here. So sometimes with hair cutting, all you're doing is going back in, and I call it reconstructive surgery sometimes. It's literally just, you know, going in and fixing up pieces that needed to be fixed. So let's do the same thing on the other side, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to layer it. Now that Sydney's angle is complete, now anytime I cut hair, I always talk about a good base. All right, a good base is very, very important in a haircut. So what you want to do is go back, constantly recheck, and tidy anything up that you might see that is not. I'm a perfectionist. Like I said, I'm a Virgo. Every time I tell people I'm Virgo, I always get these comments, I'm a Virgo too. So I'm a perfectionist. So if you see any little bits that you need to really clean up, that's fine. That's why sometimes I like going with the fine teeth, then I go back in with the wide teeth, because sometimes hair likes to kind of jump out a little bit and you see different things. But for the most part, I pretty much nailed it. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful angle. So now we're going to layer it. Now, Sydney expressed to me before that she wants all of this shaved underneath. Didn't you say that? No, I'm kidding.
I was like, wait.
No.
I heard that right.
No. No, she expressed to me that she does not want like a stacking, anything crazy, not like some old school 80s like stacking. So literally what I'm gonna do, because it's really not that many layers and it's also a little bit heavy down here. So literally all I'm going to do, just keep your head still when I pull, is I'm gonna check out to see what her current balance is with her haircut. And I'm going to pull this out. So what's happening is, because there's not really any layering, it's creating a longer piece right here. So what I need to do is just kind of break this up a little bit so it has a little more flow to it. But we're not like creating super short layers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the natural head shape. I'm going to pull this out straight from the head. There's that longer piece right there. And I'm just going to cut that. And all that's doing is allowing a little more movement throughout the bottom, throughout the middle, and throughout the whole back of the head. And here we are towards the bottom, and I do this in all my haircuts, is that when you get to the very bottom, most likely nothing is gonna need to be cut. Okay, as you can see, the length fell out, and there, now we're good. And that's really what this is gonna be great for the haircut in the back. This is really what it needs, is just reshaping and removing some weight. So let's do this throughout the whole back of the head. We're going to follow the same pattern. And then when we get to the corners, we're going to pull everything kind of straight back again to leave that weight to keep it a little bit heavier, which we can then go and clean up as we get towards the sides and the corners. But right now, I'm just really trying to keep this simple, and I'm trying to keep this a really, really nice shape. Nothing too complicated, something that's going to look pretty, that can be worn a variety of ways. And you know, it's going to also achieve a really, really nice look, especially with her color, with her highlights. This is really going to be awesome. So before we jump ahead, here's the corner. Comb it all straight back, all right? Straight back, because you want to preserve that length and also that weight into the corner. So look, we're just cutting that one piece off right there, keeping it very, very simple. And as we get to the very bottom corner here, I'm not going to extend it out, because that's going to create a hole. It's going to create it's going to remove way too much weight, and it's going to end up making things worse. So now let's see, as I comb this down right in through here, look what happens. You don't even see anything. You can't even, that's what you want in a haircut, is you want to make it look like nothing even happened. So there's no holes, there's nothing whatsoever. It looks amazing. So now we can come back in. I always like to go back, clean up, because the layering sometimes creates little shorter pieces, which we have to go back in and use here, remove it here. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll work into the top. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off, and there's the guide from where we started this whole thing. And now I'm just going to connect the back in through the top. Now what I want to do is I want to keep a kind of triangular type shape, which means it's shorter to longer, and it gets longer towards the front. So with these layers in the back here connecting into the top, I am going to slightly over direct because I do want to maintain that triangular shape, and I do want to keep things very, very strong. And as you can see now, I had some longer pieces, which was the corners right in through here. So I don't want to go too far out yet. Okay, there's the piece right there. We're just going to blend that in. And now I'm going to come on the other side, and then we're going to connect, do the same thing on this side as well. There's my guide right there. My elbow, your elbow basically dictates like where and how you're going to angle it. So if I held my elbow straight across, I'd be cutting way too much, and it'd be basically like this. See, my elbow is like parallel, and look at all that hair. I mean, it wouldn't work out too well. So what happens is then, when I follow and my elbow is pointed towards the ceiling, that's going to maintain that triangular shape. So now, since we're on a roll here, let's extend this into the front, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold it up and slightly cut it on an angle, going shorter to longer. There's the guide, and we're just going to trim that piece right there. So we're going to do this on the entire top of the head. Comb it straight up. There's the guide right there. And let's do it right here on this side now where the part is. We're going to comb it. I'm using the wide teeth of the comb now. There's the guide right there. There's a little bit we need to cut, which is the weight. And then let's take the last section right into the front. We're going to take a section right down the middle here. And we're going to comb it straight up like this. There's that little bit we need to cut on the very end here, and we're good. Now, we have to connect this still in through the corners, okay? Don't forget, we have to still connect this into the corners and the sides. So what we're going to do is bring everything up this way. There's that little bit of the weight right there that we're cutting. We're not cutting a lot, just a little bit. Now the front is very, very important because you want to over direct back. You don't want to like stand in front of it. You don't want to cut it level because you want to keep that length. Okay, let the length fall out there, and we're just trimming a little bit. This really is a haircut of like proceed with caution because you don't want to cut too much. You also want to maintain the triangular shape, which means it's going longer to the front. So here, I'm going to comb straight out from the head this way. And I'll be able to see there's the angle, there's that little bit of weight, and as you can see, the length that doesn't need to be cut is going to just drop out. And I always like to say hair talks to you. It's like, don't cut me, and it jumps out of the section. So that's what you want to get used to seeing, and don't be afraid. If the hair falls out of the section, that means it's meant to not be cut. And that's a crucial lesson because a lot of times people will go back and pick it up and then butcher it off. I've seen it. And then they create like a crime scene. It's not good. So there's that little piece right there, and then we're good to go. So I mentioned, let's just comb this all out and take a look of how it looks. Always give a final look at everything. And then sometimes, again, when you layer hair, it'll create kind of new pieces that you might need to cut, or it's going to create like, might remove a lot of weight from an angle. So I always like to go back in and double check. So let's take a look here at the whole thing, and then we're going to go in and texturize the bottom of it. All right, so I'm combing it all down. Again, I want to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. There's the angle. I just want to go back and just skim the ends lightly here, just to strengthen those up a little bit right in through there. As you can see, it looks great. Let's bring this on the other side here, combing it all straight down. And it's really, really crucial that you comb. You want to constantly comb your work because that's really going to be the true test to make sure everything, and sometimes when you use less of your hands, that's also going to help too. So now I just want to go back and skim that. And this angle looks good as well. Now, in order to show a sharp angle, you have to make sure you can see it visually, and you have to stand back from it. You have to check it out, shake the hair a little bit. So now look what's happening with her hair. It's looking good. We've got some movement in through here. Here's where the layers are. So there are layers in it, but the good thing is that it's just where it should be. That's not creating a stacking, but it's creating some movement into it. So now let's go over texturizing it. And there's a variety of techniques you can do when it comes to this. So we have a kind of a sharp line in through here. So what I like to do is start just by point cutting on the bottom, just like this. And then what I'll do is I'll lift the hair and let it kind of fall into the scissors like this. So it's kind of like just lightly texturizing it and layering it while it falls into the shear. So it's kind of like a little trick. So you're not really cutting a lot, you're just cutting what falls into the shear, so it just kind of breaks up what's down in through here without cutting too much of the length. So here, get your hands in there. I'm closing the shear, and you're not going to really be cutting a lot. Sometimes you won't be cutting much of anything, but it's just going to be enough to kind of shatter it up and give it a little bit more texture throughout the ends here. Then you can always go back in and be a little more aggressive with the point cutting. Remember, we have our base, we have our solid line in through here, but now it's just about kind of just adding a little more texture to it. And sometimes adding texture comes from right above the line. Doesn't mean you have to like completely chop up the solid line you spent so much time trying to achieve. So let's do that in through the sides here. Again, I'm just closing my shear in through the section, letting the hair fall into it. And that's what's going to help create and remove a little bit of that excess weight. Right throughout the very, very bottom, which is where it's going to be a little more heavy. And I'm liking what I'm seeing because, again, I mentioned that before, you want it to look like it's doing nothing, but you know it is doing something. That's really crucial to like hair cutting, is like when you know you can see it ever so slightly. Not everything is about how much you see falling on the floor. It's just about sometimes you know exactly what's going on, what's happening in certain sections. So I'm just kind of shaking it with my hands a little bit, going back in and just lightly skimming the bottom here, and there we go. Then if you want, you can also go back in and bring it up a little bit higher and slide cut a little, just like that. Again, it keeps the length and just removes a little bit excess weight and gives it a nice kind of broken up shape in through here. So what we're going to do now is we'll talk about styling it, and when we're going to start that, then we'll use some products and we'll take a look at what we're going to do. Now I'm going to style Sydney's hair. I'm going to use two products. I'm going to use Tidal Wave, which is my sea salt spray. I love the smell of this. Every time you see me use this in my videos, everybody always freaks out of how amazing it smells. Right, Sydney? You smell it?
It smells really nice.
Yeah. I always say it smells like the ocean. Just not the Jersey Shore, though.
No.
All right, so I'm just going to spray that on to give a little texture. And then I'm going to use Plush, which I've used in a lot of my videos, actually. But this is a smoothing serum and volumizing, so it doesn't make your hair flat. It just kind of keeps the natural volume in your hair, but it also helps defrizz. It's not heavy at all. It's easy to work in, and it's really, really great to work with, especially with her hair type. As you can see, as it dries, it gets a little bit kind of flyaway, and you need something to really, really tame it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow dry it. I'm going to try to get it pretty smooth, and then I'm going to go back in and use maybe like a smoothing iron to just add some waves to it, and then we'll be ready to go and check out the finished look. All right, so as you can see, her hair is somewhat straight. I mean, she's got a lot of hair, and you could probably use a smoothing iron to smooth it out even more, but the shape is here. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to go in and create a little bit more of a smoother type, beachy kind of look. But what I want to do is I just want to add a little more texture here to the ends. And as you can see, what we did before with the texturizing really looks good, but I just want to go back in and kind of enhance it even more. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to take a razor and just do little notches, just slight little notches towards the ends here. I'm not looking to create any sort of crazy, layering, remove any weight. I'm just going to go in and notch it. And again, this is going to do a lot for the shape and for the weight into the bottom here. You don't want to just disrupt the shape too much. You just want to do some subtle things that's going to just make the slightest difference. So I'm just literally freehanding this, and I'm notching it in like that. Again, you don't want to really see this visually. You don't want to see like huge notches and gaps in the hair. You just want to do this for your own sake so you know that you're removing some of that excess weight, okay, that excess texture right in through here. And as you can see, it's already kind of breaking it up, which is exactly kind of what I'm looking for. Again, this is all just kind of personalizing the haircut and really enhancing it. Not doing anything super crazy, but something that is definitely going to be beneficial for the end result, and as well as even for her as she's, as she styles it, okay? And then do the other side, and then what I'm going to do after we're done is I'm going to get a cordless iron, and then we're going to create some waves and stuff like that, and then we'll take a look at the end result. So on Sydney, I used a cordless smoothing iron, and what I'm going to do is just spray a little bit of hairspray, and now I'm just going to really shatter this up with my fingers, and then I'm really going to break up the style and accentuate kind of the wave and give it like that kind of beachy slash really bouncy kind of look. I like to go in and just use my fingers and add a little bit of texture just to kind of create a little bit of light beachy movement to it, so it doesn't look so kind of curled and so formal, so to speak. So I'm just going to spin her around so you can see the back here. As you can see what I did, it looks really, really nice. I just went in and created some soft movement into the back here, and it really accentuates the haircut. So as you can see, here's the side angle now on this side. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to run my fingers through it and then kind of just work it into place, giving it a little bit of that texture, a little bit of that nice kind of soft wave in through here. And a lot of this is just really piecing it out with your fingers and your hands. And I'm trying to set a trend with this as far as like having it like a beachy kind of soft finger wave. And you can even use a brush like this to brush it out to make it like kind of that finger wave here. And then you can go back in and kind of shatter it out and mess it up a little bit with your fingers and your hands. So it's very modern, kind of very edgy, and really fun. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of my red carpet shine spray just to kind of give it a little bit of shine and texture. Okay guys, so Sydney's hair is complete. Just want to give you a spin around of her whole hair. As you can see, the angle looks amazing. It's got a lot of really, really nice texture to it. We've got that sharp angle in through here. It's not too heavy at all. And we've got that gorgeous angle, which we were trying to accomplish. Same thing on this side. Looks beautiful. There's the angle. And we have some nice little kind of broken up, beachy, kind of soft waves to it. I used red carpet to give it a little bit of an extra shine. And I'm ready to give Sydney the mirror for the grand revealing. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right, Sydney. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Because you look so gorgeous. I'm like, I can't even look at you. All right, here we go. Have a look.
Okay.
Look at that, huh?
Wow.
Pretty glamorous, right?
I love it. Oh my God, this is like exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, even from the back, it looks like
So
exactly like the picture you showed me.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a broken up, kind of nice, beachy kind of bob.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So.
You are the expert.
No, I try.
You are.
Sydney, thank you so much for being
Thank
a model.
you.
You look amazing.
Thank
oh my
you. I
God.
love it.
Oh my
I
God.
love it.
She makes me look good. I'm getting these gorgeous women that make me look good. So thank you. But anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. And nice, trendy kind of bob. Hopefully you see this in 2016. But thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you next time for more tutorials with the Salon Guy.